Hello, I'm going to talk to y'all about Hurricane Katrina. Has anyone lived in New Orleans and experienced Hurricane Katrina? Well, I'm from New Orleans and I experienced Hurricane Katrina, so I'm going to tell y'all about it. Hurricane Katrina hit on August 29, 2005, and it is a huge tragedy that affected thousands of people. New Orleans received the most damage along with the citizens in it. Some citizens even lost everything. It was such a devastating catastrophe that will never be forgotten in the city of New Orleans. Hurricane Katrina didn't just affect New Orleans, but also the majority of Louisiana, and is now a major part of history. It did a lot of mental damage to the people from New Orleans, not just physical damage. Hurricane Katrina was said to be the largest and at the top of the list and strongest hurricanes to hit the U.S. It formed over the Bahamas as a tropical storm, and it hit as a Category 3 hurricane. It had winds up to 100 to 140 miles per hour and stretched about 400 miles across. It affected over 5 million people, and it was a massive hurricane. A lot of people died in Katrina, and the total death rate was 1,836 people. That was including Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, and Louisiana. But Louisiana definitely had the most damage. Louisiana had the highest number of deaths, destroyed homes. It was basically the center of destruction. Louisiana alone suffered 1,577 deaths, which was a lot for just Louisiana. The levees broke, which caused drowning as the leading cause of death, which was 40%. New Orleans had the most damage out of the city of Louisiana. 80% of New Orleans flooded because of the levees breaking, and I think if the levees wouldn't have broken, then it wouldn't have been that bad. It definitely wouldn't have been as bad. New Orleans experienced its first mandatory evacuation on August 28th, 2005, and Mayor Ray Nagin was the one who issued the evacuation. People who had nowhere to go, and like the homeless people, a lot of them went to the Superdome. They stayed in the Superdome and the Convention Center of New Orleans, where a lot of bad things happened in there, and it was very crammed and very packed. People got so depressed that they were jumping off the Superdome and killing themselves, which is very sad. Along with my friends and family members, Hurricane Katrina definitely affected us. When I heard the news, I was in 4th grade, and my parents told me that we had to evacuate, but my dad works at Auctioner, so he had to stay in New Orleans to help. They thought that it was just going to be, we were just going to be gone for not too long, but we ended up being gone for a couple of months. First, I went to Baton Rouge, where I stayed with family friends, and then it started getting bad in Baton Rouge, so me, my mom, and my brother went to Oklahoma, where my grandpa lives, and we stayed with my grandpa, and we went to school there, and I loved it. I loved the school I went to, but I also missed home. My parents and older people around me were definitely more concerned because I was young so I didn't really know what was going on. But when we went back to New Orleans, we didn't know what to expect. I remember my mom telling me she didn't know what our house was going to look like or the kind of damage, but she told me that it was going to be really sad and that I needed to pray for everyone. But in conclusion, Hurricane Katrina was easily one of the largest hurricanes that destroyed many areas, but mostly Louisiana, and in more detail destroyed the city of New Orleans. According to FEMA, Hurricane Katrina was the single most catastrophic natural disaster in U.S. history. No one ever expected Hurricane Katrina to be this awful tragedy that it is today, and it will never be forgotten. It will be in the textbooks and everything when I think it already is in textbooks now. So it's crazy to say that I lived through that kind of tragedy. With the city being so down, I think that the Saints definitely were a big pickup after Hurricane Katrina. They helped build the city back up and were a very positive influence to the city. Thank you.